Hey, how's it going? Um, so today I actually wanted to share something, a perspective on how you handle things. You know, whether it's in business or whether it's in life, I gotta say that the way you handle things is really gonna change the outcome, not only mentally, but also your physical surroundings and how you move through the challenging times. So, uh, I'm actually going to toot my own horn here, but I'm only going to do this really to paint a perspective. And so, literally, almost about a year ago, this happened. In a few months, it'll be a year. But with my moving company, Man and Dolly, I had this job, and it was actually the biggest job, which is funny because last year was probably one of the slowest years that I've had in business, and yet I had two of the biggest jobs that I've ever had. Um, I'm pretty sure it was a year ago. Maybe it was two, but anyway, it was this big job for a company, and it was moving them from Austin, Texas, where my moving company is based, and we moved them to Arizona. And so during this process, right? So first off, this at this point, this was the biggest job that I've done. It was I think it was like a ten or $15,000 job, and we were covering the truck and the labor, and we were packing them and wrapping up their furniture and then moving them over there and then unloading them, right? So there was a lot of upfront costs that were necessary, and again, as I said, that this was one of the slowest years that I've ever had. And so I wasn't so financially strapped like I have been in the past to just be able to cover the upfront costs. So I was reliant upon the the deposit. So I took a $4,000 deposit, and at one point, I was like, "Hey, you said you were going to send over this check. I haven't received it in the mail." And so I kept checking. I kept checking. There was a few other things going on in my life that were a little jarring. So it was kind of like all things kind of lining up, and there was many things that needed to be handled. But I kept like, hey, I think I checked again, and they were like, hey, look, our accountant sent the check. And I look at it, they said they sent it. And um, so it apparently had been, come to find out that it had been sent, and somewhere along the way that someone somehow got this check that was addressed to me and cashed it. And this is my this was a repeat customer, sort of. So I moved an employee of this company, and they liked how I did it, and they approached their bosses about moving the company in the same place because he moved for his company, and I think that he is an executive with the company as well, or somewhere in the chain of command. But anyway, which that's another note, is that's why I do whatever I do it with the best of my ability, and I pay attention to everything, and customer service is key. Good service is key, and that's why I do that, because you never know when a seed that you plant will bear fruit. So that's a sidebar there. But So I didn't want to start a fuss. It wasn't their issue. It wasn't my issue, but I needed to make this work. So luckily, I went out, I did some extra like guerrilla warfare style marketing. I went out, I did some networking and made some connections, and I was able to get scrum up some work. And when I did that, I was able to financially back. And so oh man, I tell you what, looking back on it, it was amazing. It was impeccable timing, and this is why I know that God is real, because He made everything kind of line up. Anyway, not to make this religious or anything like that, but I had another out of state move that I was moving to Pennsylvania, and that one, the money from that funded everything that I needed in order to get the supplies, to pay my guy, and to cover the gas and the cost of the truck. And on top of that, I was able to find out about this thing called Truck Share with U-Haul, where because I was renting a truck one way, that whenever you're doing that and you don't have a car that you're towing, then you can take something for them, and they'll give you some money. In this case, I think it was like $400 or something like that extra. But it was it was a lifesaver. So it all kind of added up, and so I literally had just enough money to to organize. I had to get the job done in a specific time. I had to make sure that things were packed, prepped, and ready. We stayed up late. I think we stayed up till like 12 midnight or something like that, loading up that truck, like finishing the packing, the wrapping, etc. And and it was, oh man, it was just, I stayed calm. I didn't stress out my team. I definitely couldn't and didn't need to stress out my customer. And I gave them absolute confidence in my ability to handle the situation. And it was just, it was a powerful time. And so I had to drive over there myself, because the guy that helped me with the load, um, it would have been too costly, and it wasn't included even in the original budget to take him out there with me and fly him back. Um, but also on the drive there, and I had to get my guys. There's a moving group, and so I used the moving group to find movers to help me with the unload. So that went well. We took care of that. Everything was wham bam. I think I hired two guys because I knew I was gonna be beat up in the drive and everything I had to do. So, but after that, I had to wait I think a couple days for them to wire the transfer, because they had to get approval or something like that. Anyway, there was, for some reason, I wasn't able to get paid immediately, and so that was kind of nerve-wracking as well. I had to just stay calm. I had to just do very polite, professional follow-ups. Just, hey, we're going to do that wire transfer instead of the check like we did for the deposit, to avoid any sort of issues with the check. So, but when we got there, I literally had like zero money, zero money. And so I tried to typically I can find some work in a new area because of the moving group. So I reached out to people in the area, tried to find someone who needed some sort of moving help. Unfortunately, there was nothing out there, but so I literally just had stuff paid for, and that was it. I think maybe I had some uh I couldn't, for some reason I couldn't use my credit card. I think maybe I was at the limit, and I think my bank account was like maybe $5 or something like that, and it was just but I made it work. I don't know if I ever ended up getting any money. I think, how did I eat? I'm just thinking about that. Like, maybe I had money to eat, but maybe I wanted to experience the town because, I mean, hell, I was in Arizona, and I don't think at that point I had ever. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Uh, oh man, and I forgot about that. I was going through something with. There was the previous time that I went up there, I had met this chick, and this she was an amazing woman. We were talking for a little bit. We were talking in between the time that I moved my first customer and the next customer, and just it was kind of funny, and that was sort of something that was weighing on me as well because there was just something, I don't know. I just maybe it was I felt like kind of imposter syndrome because it was, it was such good um, a good like connection. We had good talks, etc., etc. Maybe because it was too easy. Anyway, easy as far as like, because that sounded bad, but it was just it wasn't like there was a lot of barriers I had to face in order to connect easily with her. And it seems like sometimes there's a lot whenever you meet, you know, um, an amazing woman. So anyway, that's off topic, but it was something that was weighing on me, and I ended up disconnecting things while on the way up there. And it was, I don't know, anyway, it was just one extra thing that was kind of weighing. Uh, but this kind of just illustrates how important it is to be able to handle and deal with high stress situations. And I mean, I still haven't gotten that $4,000 yet. I've been checking with them. They're very responsive, so nobody's ducking anybody. They've sent me uh um reports. Like, they sent me pictures of the filings, like they're filing with their bank, and they're sending me updates that their bank sends them. So it's still a process. So pretty soon here, I'll be expecting that check, and that'll be nice. So so yeah, so I hope this was valuable. Um, but I say this, that I gotta say that I'm really proud of myself on how I handled that. And truthfully, if I wasn't as good as I am at handling and dealing with very high stress issues with a calm demeanor, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have been able to make it as far as I've been able to make it. And I'm very proud of that gift. And so I wanted to share that so that, not just to toot my own horn, but to send a message to let you know that, like, hey, if you wanna go to the next level, this is one of the things that you're gonna need to kind of implement. And it's not something that comes easy, and it's not something that looks pretty in the process. It's not gonna look pretty, especially not in the beginning. It's gonna be super, super high stress in the beginning, but after a while, and one thing that kind of I want to throw this out there is, and this is something that I'm actually still working through, is when you get so good at dealing with high stress situations, that this may be a psychotic thing that I have, and maybe no one else has struggled with it. I think that's a ridiculous thing to say, but when you're very good at dealing with those situations, it's almost like when things happen that are super high stress, or maybe real dramatic, or something chaotic comes your way, and typically it's something that, like, it brings you down, whether it's a hit to the bank account, it's it's a hit to your environment, it's a hit, right? I almost got so well, I am so good at it that sometimes I have to catch myself laughing, because it's almost like I got in a comfort zone of dealing with it, that I almost, at a certain point, I started psychologically or subconsciously expecting something to go wrong. And so that's something to kind of uh, pay attention to. And this is why I hit so hard on being self-aware, because if you're not self-aware, you're not going to pick up on these things, and you're not going to be able to make these shifts. And not everybody you talk to is going to be a pro on everything that you have to handle. So it's very important that you find ways of self-awareness, self-talk, you know, a higher being that you can communicate with, and kind of have that spiritual connection. But uh, yeah, just some nuggets to kind of to give you. I hope it's helpful. Uh, yeah. Anyway, let me know if this was helpful. Please like uh, and share, or dislike if you dislike the message, and subscribe if you want some more. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.